Okay, today I'm going to be talking about Git and GitHub. I'm going to make a small introduction. Well, a Git is what is Git and GitHub? Git is a version control. It controls all the changes in your code. If you make a mistake, you can go back to a previous version of your code before the mistake. So it's essentially to allow you to manage the changes that you made in your code, even if you make a mistake or if you just want to try something, you can, and you can always go back. GitHub then stores all your code, and it stores your code and the versions that are managed by Git. So it's essentially a website that stores your code, so you can collaborate with others using it. Okay, so how do I install and set up Git? So it is free. You just have to go to this website here, and then you just in the command line you will just type git version. So let's just do that. So you can just go git, okay, and then you can install it here. Well, it's pretty simple. You can choose the operating system that you like, and then you can actually check if git is installed in. So you can just open your terminal, yes, and you can just simply, with this command git version, you can just simply check if it's installed on your computer. Okay, so that is it about Git. So what about GitHub? Well, GitHub is a website that stores your code. You don't need to install nothing. You just need to have Git, so will be able to use GitHub to put the code there and retrieve the code that is there. So let's just go here. So GitHub, okay, it's here. And well, it's set. You just have to create an account. In my case, I already have an account. Okay, it's me. So you have to create your own. Well, it's this URL, github.com. So it's pretty easy. Okay. So first of all, where are we going to store where are we going to store the code? First of all, we have to have Git installed. We already checked with Git version. We already have a GitHub account, so let's create a repository. But what is a repository? Well, a repository is just a place to store your code that will be that so we can collaborate with other people using it. Okay? Why would anyone do this? Because if we don't use GitHub and Git, well, we would just be sending our code through messages. Well, it's much more convenient if it's a place that everyone can access, and you can manage it with Git and collaborate real time. Okay, so that's why we use it. So let's create the repository. What about that? So let's just go here, repositories. I have several, okay? Let's just create a new repository. I'm just going to uh, call this repository Git and GitHub basics, okay? Let's just add a description. This repository is about, is um, going to be used for instructive purposes to learn the basics of Git and GitHub. Now it's public, it will be accessible for everyone, and you can just configure what you want. These things don't matter. Let's just add a README, okay? Why a README? README is just a file that will appear on the top of your repository that people will read regarding the repository. Okay, it will contain a basic description, this description in this case, regarding the repository. Okay, so let's just create the repository. Look, so it's essentially a public repository with this, the title here in the README file. It's just a file, a markdown file for containing basic description of the repository and a simple description. This repository is going to be used for instructive purposes to learn the basics of Git and GitHub. Okay, great. Okay, so let's continue. Now, now that we created the repository and have Git and GitHub installed, Git installed and a GitHub account, well, let's see how we can interact with the repository. So, basic Git commands we will need. Git clone. What is Git clone? Git clone is to retrieve the content that is in the repository. So the repository has content in the cloud, in the GitHub. It's a warehouse that stores our code that is managed by Git. Well, when we clone it, we clone from GitHub to our local computer. And in our local computer, we will make some changes. We will select the changes that we want with add. Okay, so clone, bringing the project from the GitHub repository to your computer. Git add, choosing the changes that you want to do to the code in the GitHub repository. So imagine if you change a file, you add this file to essentially say, well, I want uh, to uh, to alter in the repository this change that I made. Git commit uh, Git commit is to confirm the changes. Dash M with a note is to just um, to include a message to describing the changes that you did. Git push is to send your updated changes to the repository. And this git pull is if you have conflict. So, which means if you're trying to alter a change that is not that is already updated. Okay, we will see much a detailed version of this in the future. Okay, so git clone. Cloning a repository is getting the files that are stored on the GitHub repository location on the cloud, okay, to your computer. So we have GitHub, and with git clone, you can see here git clone repository. We can git clone in the URL of the repository. We can get it from GitHub to our computer. Okay, so let's do this. So let's just get this. So let's go into our repository that we created. Let's clone it. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's just create, let's just create a folder here, okay, called Git and GitHub. Okay, great. Now let's enter in this. Let's open our terminal here. Okay, we see our terminal here. Great. Okay. Okay, it's our terminal, and now what we can do is the following. So we have our terminal here. We will just grab this, copy this link, okay, of the repository, and we will just do git clone and the URL of the repository. What will happen is that what is the content that is here, it will be pushed into our computer, okay? So you know, I just cloned it. So let's just see what happened in our folder. Look, there is now a folder here with the exact message that we had. So, okay. So, so now let's continue after we clone the repository. So we have currently, um, the, the GitHub and GitHub Basics uh, repository with the content inside on our local on our local computer. So now let's see how can we make some changes. So next command is git add. Git add, we can use git add to choose the changes that we want to add to the repository. Okay? How to add a single file. Git add file named txt. How to add all the files. Git add dot. How to add multiple files. Git adds and multiple files. How to add all the files. Git add dash a. Okay, so you know what? Let's add some files. Okay, so let's come here and let's create another. Let's create a txt file called text file. Okay, and let's get into this text file. Okay, let's get into this text file and let's just write first. Let's write I added this file for the first time. Okay, great. Now we just save this file. So now that we add the text file, we can just check the differences with git status. Okay, we can see that there is some untracked files from, so if we compare what is in our local file with what is currently on GitHub, so let's look here in our GitHub repository in the cloud. We have just the README, but locally we have README, we have the README and the text file. So if we just come here and just say git status, it will show us the status of some of our current version compared to the cloud. So we can add this file. Okay, we are saying to we are saying to the we are saying to uh, we are saying to Git like, okay, I made some change to the version that is on GitHub, and I want to add this file. I want to add this change. Okay, so if we do this git status again, sorry, my mistakes. If we do git status again, we can see that we had our current changes are a new file. Okay. Great. So let's keep going. So how do we use git add to confirm our changes? How can we to add our changes? How can we confirm our changes? We can confirm our changes with git commit. We use git commit to confirm our changes and add. And when we confirm our changes, we have to send a message. Okay. So git commit dash m and then the message. So let's just confirm our changes. So git commit minus m, I added a txt file. Okay, it's inserted, you can see here. Okay, so let's clear this. So now when I do git status, there's nothing to add, it's just confirm. Okay, it's already confirmed. So now, okay, we already confirmed this, but it's still not in the, you can see why we are going to refresh the page. It's still not on the repository. So how can we send our confirmed changes to the repository? So this is really easy. Let's see how we are going to do this with the next command. So the next command is git push. So now that we first we made git clone to our project. We made some changes. We added the changes. We selected the changes. We confirmed the changes with commit, and now we will do git push to push the changes to GitHub. Okay, so let's do this. So now we're just going to do git push. Boom. So now we can see that if we refresh the page, look, it's our tx file. I added this file for the first time, exactly the same message that we have locally. Okay, so I have one last thing to present you. So it's uh, what if I'm trying to make some change, but people already made a change in the made a change in the repository. Okay, so let's just check it. Okay, so in the repository here, sorry, in the repository here, I'm going to just edit this file. Okay, I'm going to say I made some change to that will raise a conflict. Okay, I made some change that will raise a conflict. Okay, so what's the issue here? The issue here is that when I try to change this file, I made I want to make another change, but I am not aware that this file was changed by others in the cloud. Okay, in the cloud GitHub repository. Okay, so you see what is happening here? So somebody made a change in the repository and somebody made a change locally that will have a conflict with the repository. So how can we fix this? Well, we can fix this. Um, we will commit, but when we try to push, it will raise a conflict. So we have to first make git pull. Okay, git pull will pull the changes from the the repository, and then we will need to solve the changes, and we will need to make git push. Okay, then we can, after resolving the conflicts with after we have the updated version from the repository, then we can push the changes. Okay, so let's just fix the changes. Okay, so we are going to just open the terminal. We are going to get to make git status. Let's just save this file. Okay, with our changes that we make. Let's just git status. Let's just try to add this file. Sorry, let's just try to add this file. Git status change without being aware of the conflicts. So we are now trying to make git push, but what will happen is that the repository will say like, oh, there were some updates in the repository, and you need to bring the updated version to your computer and then push. Okay, so we are going to first do git pull. Okay, so we are going to do git pull, and we have to fix the conflict. So we are going to see we are going to it's going to appear some conflicts. I am going to use to fix these conflicts. Normally, it's a good idea to use IDE. So in my case, it will be Visual Studio Code. Okay, I am going to fix the conflicts. Okay, so we have this text file here. Okay, so it will ask us to solve these issues, and we are going to say I made some change that will raise a conflict, and this is what is coming from the repository, and this is what is in the repository. I made some change that will raise a conflict. Yes, so let's just accept it, and then let's just accept accept the change that we just did. Okay. Um, so this is the change from the repository, and this is our change. So we accepted this, and now we will accept ours. Okay. So it will be like this. Okay. Okay, so this will be our text file. Now that we see that we just bring the conflicts from the repository and bring our and combine them with our changes locally, and we can just add another change. I fix the change and put it on, and it's ready to GitHub. Okay, boom. So now it's good. Let's just save it. Finally, we can just say git status. We can add our modified version of the text file. We can say git commit. We can see that we just changed, we modified the text file. We can say git commit to confirm our changes. We can say solved conflicts on the test file, and it's ready to be pushed to the repository. Okay. And then we can finally push. So hi. So I am going to I just wanted to share after the push, so you can see that all the information. So this is the text txt file with the conflicts resolved, and this is the change that we added after to the txt file after we fixed the conflict. So that's it. Thank you. Just to sum up, what did we do? We tried to add the changes, we made a commit, but then when we pushed, we couldn't push. So we had to pull, we have to resolve the conflicts, merge conflicts if multiple people edited in the same files. In our case, we in the repository there was a change made by someone on the same text file. We were trying to make a change, and then we, after solving the conflicts, we in an IDE we pushed the things. So that's it. I'm glad you enjoyed, and I hope this was a good presentation of Git and GitHub.